Okay. Can't hear the fan. Okay, good. So, today's stream is sadly more design. I mean, sadly more design, but necessary design. I think I'm getting progress made. Just gotta kind of get the components in here and start to lay things out, and then, the workflow is what I want to concentrate on. Hey Raj, how you doing? Welcome in. So, yesterday I spent some time trying to get the nav laid out, and I realized that the way I had it like what was it? It was 16. It worked, but it wasn't. I'm not giving myself enough room there. It's not very clear. So I decided to make it wider. But in making it wider, it remains the same. They remain positioned the same. So that means they were not filling out. If I look at the inspector, the LI is actually 64 pixels. And that's true of, yeah, both. So with padding and whatnot, that is 64. Well, that's got a margin of 24 as well on top of it. So, let's try and reduce M0. Okay, that starts to make it a little bit better. So that removed the top margin of 24. Inspect. I'm just looking at the computed layout on. That still has a top margin of 24. So let's have a look. So let's go look at an actual Tailwind UI menu. So the stream might be focused on the visual aspect right this second. Again, I want to kind of get the workflows in place. I want to get the design looking more along the lines of what I want it to be. So I can concentrate on how I'm going to do things, right, and with the tool sets available. So obviously, I now have introduced PrimeNG as a tool set. I have components available to me that I didn't previously have. So things like these controls, these are custom controls that I kind of compiled from Tailwind. They'll now be much cleaner to use. The drop downs, etc. Again, the buttons, the styling, everything like that's going to work a little better. This still works, and I might leave it in place for now. I'll just overhaul the visuals inside of it. Primarily because I'm still not certain how I want dialogues and things like that to work. I kind of like this pop-out design. For me, I feel that is a a usable technique on both desktop and on mobile. So I kind of like the forms doing that, but only when the button's over here. If the button's over somewhere else in the page, it actually doesn't work quite as well. Now I do have the light and dark mode toggle, but I think that needs a little bit of a further review. I was looking up one line yesterday, mentioned the CSS thing, and I looked it up, and I think I'd rather try and take the user's setting first, and I need to decide whether I'm going to support theme or light dark mode, because or both, because I do want this to ultimately be a toggle that will let me switch between the modes, and I might focus a little bit of energy on that just to make sure that works. Right now the design looks very flat, which I'm not a big fan of. I may work on making this actually a I'm tempted to make it a white area and put the controls inside of it as darker. So break it up with the controls rather than having bright white, just blank areas. But that's going to require some tinkering. I did purchase myself a book on UX design, which I will provide feedback on once I figure out how to apply anything in that. But yeah, as always, all questions are welcome. All comments are welcome. So what I'm going to do right this second, I'm going to go to Tailwind CSS. This doesn't actually support a dark mode, does it? It doesn't. So I apologize. But I think this breaks it up in a way that it's not quite as bad. So what I'm looking for right this second is navigation. So sidebar navigation, do they have a... They do not. But they do have it working. So they do have the nav. And if I take this entire nav and comment out that one, paste in that one, it will break. I understand that. But at least it lays out the... Sounds like I've been learning UX from you. I doubt that, but I will endeavour to share what I learn as well, and we can compare notes for certain. Okay, so that's a nested list. So why does that take on the regular list style? Because that's taken on the So that's the entire menu. Let's put the entire menu in and see if it changes its behavior. I don't think it will. Good morning, by the way. Okay, so that's the nav. That's to there. Yeah, I mean, it suppressed it. It stopped it overlapping, but that's not... That's no better, I think. Although, let's take... this and paste that in there. Yeah, that's not going to do what I want. I'm going to spend more time trying to fix that than I'm going to do fixing my own stuff. Oh, I broke it real well. Okay. There you go. Oh dear. I was in two minds whether to stream today. I'm a little low on energy. But this is the time I look forward to, so I figured I would go ahead and do it and try and keep my energy level at least high enough that I'm not going to fall asleep on stream. Hey Captain Fuba, how you doing? Welcome back. Any luck with design? I'm making progress. I'm making a bit of progress. I've got the layout kind of working. Definitely will blame me for thank you, I appreciate that. It's I gotta figure out a Saturday stream this week. So we've got some stuff to do. But I gotta figure out a Saturday stream because Saturday would be my 5-year Twitch affiliate anniversary. Well, again, I think Thursday would be today. When is it? Twitch TV dashboard. When is the actual anniversary? I think I moved the date because it was going to conflict. Okay, yeah. Next Wednesday is technically my streamer anniversary. My 5 years. But hopefully you'll be able to get some from actual stream. Yeah, that's my hope. The energy from the stream will actually do the work, the job it needs to do. Not a lover of the browser debugging tool. Oh, in terms of my my orange background. Yeah, I've got it open. I do use it. I'm not that stubborn. Just sometimes I like to put the content in here because it allows me to see it quickly without actually worrying about nesting. Right now, I'm thinking that is the problem with these controls. They're padded to 64. Well, they're 64 wide. I can dock this in. I just like having it broken out. So, yeah, I can dock it. Yeah. I just generally break it out because then you end up with constraining the space, and then especially when you're playing with layouts that couldn't react, be responsive, you end up with a challenge doing that. So the UL, it's the UL that's 64 with 16 padding. Space Y6 list none M0 P4. P4's not. 1 rem, okay. So P4 is 1 rem. So if I do 2, okay, so that's now over there. That's not necessarily better. It's just showing it clearer. What do I want here? So the problem I have right now is I've got to learn to which elements I need to apply which styles for justification and alignment, right? So all these fell in line then, right? When I took away the padding, I dropped the padding down. UL. So that's 80 by 88 with 8 padding on on all sides. But now why is that grown by the same amount? So if I do wow, DuckDuckGo is not working for me today. That's worrying. Justify center won't work, and I don't want to flex them, because if I flex them, the behavior changes, right? So if I do flex justify center, I get that behavior, because now they're all out of whack, right? Justify center doesn't do anything on its own, I don't think. No. So I've got to learn which styles I need to apply. Justify items center. Right, but this won't. So if I do grid justify items center. Oh, there we go. It is that. Okay, so let's take off our there and then do margin 4. That looks better. So the reason I did it this way is I wanted to. So I have the pages wired up, so it navigates the pages, so I can now focus on the actual page content. I changed this button out for the normal style, so now I'll work on these components. What I'm thinking so far is if I overhaul the components as I have them, so it kind of works still, this screen I can worry about the data differently, and kind of move towards that. I also need to figure out a logo that works. I have no artistic talent, so that's going to be tough, but yeah. Space Y 8. Yeah, that spaces them out. What I'm questioning is if I can do right. If I do small. But that doesn't. Why doesn't that align center? Because it's pushing everything out. That's why. But I don't want to do that. I want the option of putting labels in there, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But for right now, it doesn't hurt me. Also, gluing the content to the left isn't ideal since most users have wide monitors, at least 16:9. Don't know anyone still using 4:3. Gluing the content to the left. Yeah, but ultimately this tool is going to. I'm going to need. The reason I'm doing this sort of layout is because I'm going to need as much screen real estate as possible, right? That's kind of the way. If you look at tools like Jira, if you look at Trello's not a good example because Trello's really just a Kanban board with some stuff on top. You got to be careful about how you're using the space for certain. I was just saying before you came in, I picked up a book on UX design. I like physical books, so I can't read books like that on Kindle. Actually, it offered me the audiobook version, which I thought was kind of funny. So, a book on user interface design being read to me seems kind of weird. I know most design gurus say prime real estate is always top left, but that depends. Navigation, yes. Reading content, not so much. I think as long as you can focus the user, and again, this is a tool made for a purpose, so I don't expect this to be a completely intuitive UI all the time. I think there's some allowances there where training is necessary, but I think I should be at least taking into account certain rules. I'm trying to make sure that the content's correct. These I like because the flow, the callouts I like for forms. It prevents pop-ups. These do work on mobile. on a smaller resolution. They do, well, not that resolution, but they still work on a mobile resolution. I can make them, function. So yeah, I'm not expecting this to be easy. That's for certain. But yeah, it's sticking all the content up here is not necessarily what I want to do. And spanning out across the space, the chunky menu from before, which came out more here, I kind of like it in that it's readable, but in the same, it took up a lot of space that you don't necessarily need, because you'll probably be working in planning items for the most part, and then maybe moving back into initiatives, and but initiatives might be more of a managerial concern than they are a product manager concern. So a product management team is mainly going to be in this dashboard looking at things they need to do. I want to put like this outstanding stories, progress, etc. in here for the users. And in here, they'll be working on the actual items. So yeah. So let's go and overhaul. This is going to be harder now. Project manager's yuck. Morning, Delta. How you doing? So let's overhaul this and see if we can get this to work. Is it done yet? No. Just 2 more weeks. It's fine. I'll get in character too. 2 weeks. I got it. I understood what you're saying. Okay, so let's put these controls in place. I'm gonna move this off screen. I don't think it's it's useful to keep flicking back and forth and flickering the screen. So the notifications flyout itself, that's not that part. That's a totally different part. That's okay. And that's not a flyout, I don't think. Come back around on that piece. So we have planning, views is landing, planning module. We have views, and we have the planning item details and the planning items. I should be seeing planning items actually, so let's... Oh yeah. Okay, let's try and sign it. So ultimately, I'm looking to improve the form to look more along these lines, right? I have no idea why I can't remember that password. Okay, so obviously this is going to get overhauled, right? We want to change this out, and the thing I think I want to do here is I want to... let's have a look at this. Let's go into dark mode. Let's see if we can find a relevant sample. E-commerce table. So not necessarily this. Maybe this style, but actually categorized underneath the actual what are they called? I think I'll be better at this point. The groups, I want to group them by relevance. So expired, due, this week, etc., and this month, and then nothing beyond this month. There's no point doing reviews of things beyond this month for right this second. So some sort of table of the data. So rather than having these big panels that don't have any value, right? So having a review date, a name, a review date, and assigned to, assigned by, or created by, assigned to column in a grid, and showing the actual, grouping it more by these dates will be way more effective than this page, which doesn't really, because you're reading these, you don't need to read these at this point. You don't care. What you're caring about here is which items you should focus on. So I could put notifications in there eventually. So a grid will make more sense. When I navigate in, this layout will change, but it will be roughly the same in terms of it's displaying the title, the description, the requirements and notes, etc. will become tabs eventually, I think, and the area over here I want to reserve for kind of information panels. So the review date needs to be in here because it's missing from the screen. Any tagged projects, as we went through before, right, when we went through that exercise of attaching projects and things like that. So the information will come down the right hand side. So this create button, again, right now it's a call out there, and it works when the button's over this side. Will it work if this all changes around? I don't know. Because if you hit a button over here and the panel appears over here, that's also jarring. If I hit a button over here, do I pop out a panel to the left of me? Right? Do I have like an alignment with which side of the screen I'm going to? So that's a question we'll answer later. And, you know, as always, I'm open to thoughts and opinions on this because it's going to be difficult. Oh, that's bugging me. Why doesn't that? So the button sticks on there, but the panel stops being there. So that's going to be a challenge. That's locked in the bottom by that fixed bottom. This is set by H screen, which sets height 100 view height. So, but we can worry about that after. Okay, so I've got forms, add planning item. So I'll move this over here for now, and we'll do some cleanup. So planning item, we need to do, the first thing we need to do, actually the first thing we need to do is probably commit what we just did so that we don't go back. Update layout, center, navigation icons. Tag settings button. Not sure how I feel about that one, but we'll see. Okay, so this becomes input, P input text, import Angular, prime, no. Input text. That's confusing the existing two places. So this instantly becomes difficult. So why is this? So a slide over wide panel is a component. Use dialog instead of the dialog role. Dialog is an HTML type. That is one design decision that drives me wild with the latest KDE Plasma 6. The save pop-up now displays the save button top right and cancel top left. Just insane choice. Huh. Just getting the feature flagging for water drink water. Nice. Be interested to see the implementation for that. I think DuckDuckGo, really? Settings. Not working today. Why is that in? Gotta be careful doing that on stream. Now you take dark mode? Okay. Save pop-up now supposed to save button top right and cancel top left. Huh. So one thing that would be interesting to do in this is, while I'm still early in the development, would be to try and put in some tools for usability metrics. We use some features at work that are basically, they kind of help identify where the user has been looking and clicking or moving their mouse, etc. And it kind of highlights how they move around the screen. How do you prevent Google from showing search history? I don't know. Yeah, heat map for the mouse, and also click, so you can see if a user was trying to click a button and they couldn't click a button. Also, we do, with some of our users, we actually enable recordings, so we can actually watch them. We don't watch them in real time, but we can record their actual usage in the application, so we can watch it back later when they have an issue or something. So you can actually just see what they really did. If it's recreatable, I think it has to be turned on per user. Okay, so what that's recommending is I change this to be dialogue, because that's now a HTML element. We should now have another challenge, the controls. That's interesting. So what that's doing is that's throwing up now errors on the form element. So I use the dialogue here. That's interesting. So if I do div again, cool. I will check it out. I'm just yeah, I'll check it out in a little bit. As it is a drink water thing. I do appreciate it though, Delta. Why does that break it? It's basically logging me out. Almost immediately. Duplicate form ID field. You'll laugh at the implementation. So when it comes to that application, I think that that doing something is actually, that's logged me out again. Likely be an aha also. Nice. I will review it. I'm not. So this has actually logged me out of the application, but I haven't changed any of those things. Let's get the app working again and then see where we go. So so this is reading a cookie, cross-site context, duplicate form ID field in the same form. So the planning item component, add planning item. This is the form. So it adds it in. So the idea is that this is a control into which you can put the content, right? So this app slide over is a generally reusable control. So let's worry about that first, then we'll come back around to this stuff. So that's got. So the reason I was looking at the background component itself was because I wanted to validate what was setting the background. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? There's a pop out there. That really doesn't work. What is that color? Gray 800. That doesn't look like that. Slide over component. Well, that works, okay. Also, probably an interesting discussion around it. So, okay, so let's do that. Let's schedule Monday as, if assuming you're available Monday, let's schedule Monday as a day to discuss that. Monday's actually a day off for me, so I can go for a longer stream on Monday as well. So I can probably start the day with discussion on that, and then move to a little bit of game dev later in the day on Monday. Taking vacation, nice. So then let's knock that out on Monday then. Yeah. This CSS stuff is going to drive me nuts, but yeah, and I really do want to get back to the game dev stuff, because I'm itching to do that stuff now, which is pretty much why I was scared to do it in the first place. You may want to check it briefly. Okay, I will check it before stream. Plenty of time before, so I can reach out with any questions beforehand, so that we're not. But part of the purpose of doing it on stream is to make sure that we're sharing the reality of that. Yeah, yesterday we had a discussion over something at work, and it was one of those discussions where I wasn't quite sure that everybody involved was on quite the same page. You could have kept that a secret. I would have. Oh, but you wanted me to see it on the stream. You want me to look at that. Okay. So let's. Okay, let's go take a quick look. Now you've got me curious. That'll do the job. Huh. Nice. Yes. Yeah, we need so, but it does raise that need, right? So actually, that does like everything it needs to do. I feel, in terms of the conversation, we can progress that. We can look at the stuff. I'm going to try and do a little bit of research beforehand on possible feature flag solutions because .NET does have feature flags. In .NET 8, I'm not sure when they were introduced, but feature flags is a feature. um, I wasn't genuinely laughing at my own statement there. So they do have feature flags as part of the framework now. So it might be something we can introduce. It might be something we need a huge solution. No, I don't think so. But it would be worthwhile figuring out because that is something that real world, you know, is useful to understand. Yeah. Yeah. But there's I know of one solution. Oh my goodness me. What are you doing today? So Launch Darkly is a framework for doing it to turn on and off features. It does, yes. That's the challenge, but that is a commercial solution, right? So commercial solutions exist that do provide this feature and allow you to do that sort of stuff, but it does involve implementation. So having a conversation about it, the need for feature. So with a feature flag, if your feature isn't finished yet, you can turn it off and release it to production without and pretty much guarantee you're not going to have that code raise up an issue. The challenge is if your code base is in a mess, how do you manage those flags properly and effectively and make sure that nothing creeps out that shouldn't be in there? So it is a discussion worth having for certain. Yeah. So yeah, let's have a more comprehensive discussion on Monday. We'll go into it in more depth, go through the feature flags, talk about what we can bring in there, and yeah, move towards a solution. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is I need to go to PrimeMG. Do they have an explicit date picker? Do they override date picker? I don't think they do because the default one now is so much better than it used to be. Yeah, so no one bothers with date pickers anymore. I bring it up because I have that general problem on occasion. I've been wrong. The vision was a good idea, and it took months to see the results. Yeah. Yeah, feature flags are... Okay, so now we're going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to replace them with... views registration step 2. This was not necessarily easy to deal with. Oh no, this was really not fun to deal with. So initially, my version of this, I just give it the list of things and it deals with that, and you tell it which field is the ID field and which field is the thing field, etc., and it works. But if you're giving it a list of objects, which I'm in this case, the template is necessary. So this might not be ideal. So the source here, So, sorry, this just gave me heartburn. So the solution for this was a bit messy because I had to put in the filtering. So you can hook it up to the server, but you have to kind of get the original list and then give it a filtered copy of the list, so you can work on that. So it filters that copy for that for you, and because it won't just make callbacks on that initial list. It won't create the copy itself. So to do this, form control is going to be assigned user. Name is assigned user. ID is assigned user. Coffee break. I should have an alarm set to let me know when I should get my second coffee. Nice. Oh, neat. Never thought of doing that. Set alarms for lunch and stuff. Also, occasionally, if I can sit down, I give myself 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. I normally get coffee after I finish stream. So this can't be user store sorted users. This is going to be in here now. We need to do, and sorted users is a method that is set on the store. So I know, I don't need public. It's redundant. I've got a review of that, but I kind of like putting public there. Once I get up, I usually need to take time, making myself sit down and get into the process almost. But I got up at 4 a.m. today. Some of the CSS was done because I was unable to sleep. I haven't had coffee yet. I've had a cup of ginger and peach tea. I get up at 5 a.m. I go to bed at like 9 or 10 p.m. though. Yeah, I get up at 5. Get my wife and daughter out by 6:30ish. Get ready for stream. Stream for 2 hours. Work from 9:30 till 6. Go to karate at 8 o'clock at night. Get home. And I'm in bed by about 11:30. That's most days. So when I wake up at 4 a.m., this is going to be a particularly long day because I have a kickboxing class at 8 o'clock tonight. Oh, and then I'll walk the dogs from like 9:30 till 10. All in the name of trying to be healthier. I'm getting less sleep. The joys of getting older. Okay, that is not the purpose of the stream. Filtered users equals user store. Let's get the kids to do that. They probably promised to have. Okay, I think you have one. Just kidding there also, I remember promising to help and do anything. Yes, I have a teenage child. So that isn't happening either. Filtered users. This seems like I should wrap this up in a control. I too was a teenager when we got the dog. Yeah, it's filtered users. I dislike this. So putting this behavior into here feels wrong. Let user item user.name, and because we're going to copy and paste it, right? This is almost identical. This is going to be identical right this second. So yeah, we're gonna filtered users, user. I'm not sure that's what I want. Yeah, I probably do. This seems like a generic action at this point, doesn't it? So the control's there, but the data's not. But that's because I'm not logged in either, so let's log out. Let's sign in. That foreign index of looks like a hack rank solution or something. Not by intention. Fuck off. Let's use the small amount of time we have before it logs out again. The set disable attribute with the reactive form derivative. You set disable to true by set control. Okay. So there's our user. We can find our user. Looks like you're using the disable attribute with the reactive form derivative. If you set disable to true when you set up this control in your component class, the disabled attribute will actually be set in a DOM for you. We recommend using this approach to avoid changed after checked errors. Specify the disabled property at control time. UI looks pretty solid. We're trying to get there. That's the goal, right? Okay, so we'll come back around to this afterwards. That's a review item. This isn't currently failing. We'll worry about the top bar in a minute. Get the controls in place. This looks odd though. Why is that? Oh, I know why. So, because I was using Tailwind before, right? All the controls have Tailwind styling, so we need to remove the Tailwind styling. And this should take on the PrimeNG styling. And there you go. It logged me out again. This is getting old. There we go. So they're not full width, but they are. So if I do... oh, I need to get into this habit as well. I've decided that I'm going to put all square brace pieces, square brace properties, attributes to the end of the list of things so that visually I break it up. Class equals width full. Let's try that. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to chase the log out thing in a second because I can't. I'm going to do one thing at once, right? The style can still be applied if I'm in the page. Remove that. Class equals width full. There you go. It's starting to look like a form. I don't think I want to space it out the same way as I did the other. I think the tighter spacing probably works better for this. Probably want this to be a text area though at this point. So that's, now that I've got the controls available without messing around with styling, let's at least use that. So input text area. So we mark it a text area. So text area. P input text. Is it area like that? It is. Let's see how that looks. There you go. All right, off to work. Good luck. Delta, thank you very much. Thank you for the contribution as well. We'll definitely talk about that on Monday. I'll see you again soon. I forget it's not Friday. Okay, so let's make this yeah, that works. Okay, so we have a description field. As always, that can be resized, but that's a Chrome thing, right? Can you disable that resizing? Let's have a look. Google.com. There you go. From a consistency perspective, don't prevent the resize, right? It's still scroll, but you now can't drag in whatever it. Okay, so let's go back and put the styling in here. So, small. And that's a span. Still yet to decide if I like this new, because this looks more like Blazor style. I'm still not a big fan of putting code inside of the template like that, but the templating, yeah, because I can still use the old style, right? I can still do ngF like that, but this is the recommended style now. But it makes me think I'm using Blazor. I'm not sure I can cope with this. Small. The reason I'm doing it the small on the outside rather than making this a small is just because the if I have multiple validation errors or different validation errors, then I can put different spans in here and they all become the small. So if I apply a style to the general error message, I can do that. There is a way, so you can do ID equals planning item title help, right? And you can do aria described by planning item title help, and that will give the screen reader the right thing. I think you can do that as well on some things, but you want to hide things for other reasons. Small. Again, I should keep in mind accessibility as much as I possibly can. What I know, I'm not going to jump ahead and try and do an accessibility pass too early. I did a little bit of React, then worked on some Angular projects, then immediately went for Vue and settled there. Templeton looks more fluent for me. Nice. Yeah, I've used Angular since 2016-ish. I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, good at it. Backend is where I'm more comfortable. Okay, welcome. How are you doing? Planning item description help. Aria described by I did a lot of jQuery stuff. Oh yeah. Where's it go on the Agile tool? So we're almost at the point where I can actually show some of the Agile tool, which would be nice. That's better. That's looking better. Yeah. Okay. Let me sign in. So the Agile platform or Agile tool, my code name for it is Liquid Sky. The goal is to be a planning and work management tool, so Jira style. If you've used Jira, kind of a bit beyond things like Trello, etc. But the goal is to build a tool that is focused on the planning and collection of requirements over tracking the work necessarily. So a lot of the tools that are out there focus on management, and they're mainly for management. If you look at Jira's interface, if you look at all the tools that are available in Jira, it's mainly for giving people information on how much work is being done and in what speed, etc. And we kind of dump a lot of effort into supplementing that with other things. So the goal of this project is to create a platform that is focused on the planning aspect, the requirements gathering aspects, to help aid development. Ultimately, I don't want developers to go anywhere near this tool, right? Or very little exposure to this tool. So starting with this planning component, the idea is you create a planning item, you kind of describe the overall goal. This could be quite a large piece of work because, planning should not be concerned with being broken down into stories if it's, sounds like a waterfall. No, well, it's actually trying to, if you think about the way that most teams revert, they kind of regress back into that waterfall mode very quickly if they don't stay rigid on the actual Agile practices. So the platform is aimed at allowing planners to kind of collect the requirements together. So this is obviously early phases yet, but the idea is they describe what they're trying to do here. They add the requirements that they have, and they can assign projects to the projects that they think should be involved in this piece of work. And then the developers can sit down with them and look at this without it actually becoming stories and agree upon what actually is a story. So they can pull the requirements out into one or many stories. And then those stories are what's tracked in the regular Scrum boards. It's pushing that process. Yeah, pretty much, because most of these tools are based around that management aspect. They're not actually for the developer. If you actually look at the amount of time a developer really wants to spend in these tools, it's very little. It's, what am I working on? Okay, I'll go do that. I'll commit to Git. We'll do the pull requests. All that happens outside of this software, and then the work's done. So that visibility of where we are with work is not or shouldn't be the concern of the developer, right? You shouldn't have management saying, okay, where are we on this project, and where are we on this, and where are we on that? So I have this concept of a review date, and a review date is a mandatory date that you set when you actually add the item. And this is a date, it'll have to be a date in the future. It's not validated yet. But basically you'll say, okay, well, this has to be reviewed by June 6th. So by the time that comes around, this screen's about to change as well. I'm overhauling the UI with all new controls. But the idea will be you come into your planning items on June 6th, and you're basically presented with by the way, these items are up for review. You need to review these or set their dates back, etc. And the longer term goal is to introduce more alerting and notifications so that management teams can be told, oh, by the way, this planning item that you're watching, it actually just got pushed back another 2 weeks, right? So the right discussions can happen without pulling developers into those discussions, and keep the developers focused on the development aspects, which is very little to do with any of the software we use day to day. When you read the waterfall paper, it defines waterfall in the first 2 pages, then delves into specifics, and it's literally Scrum. Yeah. I was a PO for a little, and we used Jammer for requirements. It's a horribly tedious tool, though, and apparently really expensive. Jammer, I haven't seen Jammer. That's not made it to my radar yet. And again, what I'm trying to do here is trying to get out of the way of everyone, but kind of guide people down the right path, right? Because ultimately, you're trying to collect. I don't know about anybody else, but I've dealt with a lot of PMs that are basically, they dream up these features and they kind of write up these things they call a story, and you look at it, you're like, well, that's not a story. That's like an entire piece of work. So I want them to not have to worry about that aspect of breaking out the stories, because those discussions can happen, and then what ends up is we end up with a backlog full of fluff, right? There's really high license costs, but it's meant to do a similar thing, I think. Nice. I'll check it out. I found Jammer software, pull written requirements for recommended improvements, missing, changed, or late requirements, gaps in verification. Nice. Yeah, I'll check it out. Thank you for putting that on my radar. Yeah, and I'm not trying to copy anything, and it is what it is. My problem is they create a bug, but it's actually a story. Right, so the goal is very much to kind of refine that process, but also improve that visibility to everybody else in the organization, so that as a developer, ultimately what you should do as a developer is log into this software to say the next piece of work is assigned to you, and then that's pretty much it, right? Every other thing, like how many bugs are we clearing, how many stories are we clearing, how many points are we clearing, right? What is our projected, velocity, etc. Those are all management tools. They're not actually, no one in development cares about those things. And then your team is judged by bug counts. It's irritating. Now, on top of all the things, you have to convince your PM that it's actually a story. Yeah. So I'm trying to increase that discussion rate. Someone's felt the pain, I think. But I'm trying to encourage the discussion in the right direction, right? I'm trying to encourage the discussion in the management and PMs staying away from developers, so developers can do the development part. P button. Size equals. Actually, size regular is probably good for right a second. P button. Oh. New item. This log out thing is driving me nuts now. Oh yeah, I've still got the styling on there. Don't need the styling when you've got a UI library in place. So if anybody has any questions, anybody wants to look, that's going to change. Actually, that's going to be a learning opportunity. I'm more than happy to show the code. I'm more than happy to go through it. At the moment, this is a project I want to take to. That's not relevant to stream. I mean, I can try and answer the questions anyway, but might not be that useful. Label severity. There we go. Severity. So primary button. What is it? Secondary. It's just secondary. Cancel. Severity equals secondary. Yeah, I'm always happy to show the code. I'm always happy to go through what I've done, demonstrate the technologies in place. This is going to drive me nuts. Could you set up an onboarding for the Discord server which lets you select a role for stream pings? It would be nice since I don't really check inside my server for as much. Select a role for stream pings. I could look into it. Yeah, absolutely. Are you on? Are you in the Discord? No skills. The button had an attribute called P button, primary button. Maybe, yeah. So it looks like they use the severity attribute to label them to do that. Badges, buttons. It's funny seeing all these buttons, and now I'm remembering one-line streams for the last couple of days. And if you want to see someone do this from scratch, by the way, using Figma, building out all these different designs, which is absolutely fascinating. The sheer effort, I see that I respect. Yeah. Okay. H_die. Okay. I will reach out to you if I have any questions on Discord, if that's okay. But so what OneLine is doing is going through the effort of designing all these things, because he's not using PrimeNG or anything like that, so he's going through all this effort of demonstrating all these in Figma, building out the controls and then designing all these pieces. So this is very much reminiscent, and I would highly recommend checking out OneLine for app dev in general. Also, if you're interested in Blazor, definitely worth. Don't you dare update your themes. Not while I'm doing this. So when I actually installed PrimeNG, I didn't realize it, but I just got their new release like the same day, or one day later or something like that. So I'm always worried when I pick up a framework that's just changed quite a lot straight after, because obviously then you've got the documentation challenges that come with that. Okay, so let's get this next combo bots in. So this one is a little harder. This needs multi-select. So this one is not going to be quite as simple. I will go back to streaming my work product eventually, so we'll shift back to doing real world day in the life type of streams. Nice. Well, if you think about it, I've only ever known, I mean, I think I've been in there before, but not as a regular. Now as a regular, that would be kind of cool to see. I would love to do that. Yeah, if I could actually figure out to take this product to completion, or to actual realization, I suppose, which would be my goal, I would continue streaming it 100%. If I actually managed to make this a product to make my income off of, I would 100% continue to stream it for 8 hours. That would be awesome. So list box, multi-select. There we go. Multi-select. Reactive forms, chips. As much as I don't want it to, the stream may get cut short today. it looks like we're about to have a large thunderstorm. So, invalid, disabled. Okay, so basic, I suppose. So this is a P multi-select. When I see that pop up, I want to do Alt Enter, which would be what I'd do in my .NET world. Yeah. Okay, options. How I use keyboard. Again, I'm going to move the. There's a name for that. I can't remember the name. Okay, so let's have a look. Options, reactive forms, form control name, option label. Hey, I trust you're well. I'm joining random streams asking different streamers for advice. I studied for 3 years and now I'm trying to get a job as a developer. Learned Java in university and now trying to teach myself other languages and frameworks. Currently working on my portfolio. Any advice for a junior developer? Welcome in, by the way, Dream Chaser. Hope you are equally well. Did you get any work experience while in university? Have you had like internships or anything? And what sort of stuff are you chasing after becoming a Java developer? You know, what sort of stuff have you looked at doing? So option label, placeholder, attached projects, no, these aren't attached, are they? What are these? No, unfortunately not. I played a lot of cricket, so that took up most of my time. Currently trying to get into any industry, to be honest. Advice. I mean, I'd look at what the available job market is and where your skill sets are compared to the job market. I don't believe that roles have dried up at all in what we do. I would say try and find something that's going to be interesting if you can, or like go into a language or a company that's at least aligned with the frameworks you're comfortable with. You don't need to know everything. You're a junior in so much as you've not worked in a business yet, right? Maybe you're extremely good at the code. So do you have things to show that? I still believe in kind of demonstrating what you can do in GitHub. Like if you've built projects on the side, if you can demonstrate those things or talk about those things. I would look on sites that, you know, job sites in your area, in your region, and see what sort of jobs what sort of skills people are looking for, and see how you align. You're not going to know everything. You don't need to be perfect. I personally do believe in GitHub being a good portfolio thing. So not just forking other people's repos and changing them a little bit. I mean, building your own stuff, demonstrating your understanding of the technologies. I always, when I interview people, I really love to talk about the software that they've built, or I come up with a use case that we can share so we can talk about it and see how, you know, how we get along that way. So definitely building up a portfolio of some form. can be handy, but not necessary. I kind of figure out what you want to do. Like you say, Java. Is Java the one you want to go into? Is that where you're the happiest? There's all sorts of things that could go into it. But I'd definitely look at your local job market and see what people are looking for, and see if you can refresh some of those skills so that when you go into an interview, you're able to talk competently about things. But again, remember, you're a junior. You don't need to know everything. That's kind of the role of that job, is to train you. What do you think about the kebab case component names? It's accepted in Angular, but I use Pascal case. You can differentiate HTML and components clearly, and shouldn't class names with Pascal case everywhere. I think there's wild inconsistency in how to do that, and I think some of that comes from us using different frameworks and languages, right? I haven't thought too much about it, to be honest. I mean, again, Angular kind of names the files this way, but the actual component itself is a very different thing, right? That would be prefixed with that, and then that, but the class is that. So yeah, it's yeah, I like Angular from this perspective. I know that some people don't like the way it breaks down the files, etc. So you've got the CSS, HTML, TS all the way. I don't think React works in a similar. I think React is more code in line. And I know that. What's the framework? There's a framework that I can never remember the name of, that is basically a meta framework on top of Angular. And it kind of blurs the lines, which that'd bug me more. I kind of like having the template and the code separate. That's all I really care about. The naming, the kebab case stuff. Again, if we're doing it, if they were following that rule, they'd have done that, right? But they went with that. So it's definitely inconsistent. Projects. So that demonstration form control. So I don't need name. I don't need ID. I need option label. Name of the label field of an option. That it? The problem is this isn't going to work because it's a drop down, right? So I need to log out. And then I'm going to have to, before too long, I'm going to have to figure out why the heck it's logging me out. There you go. Planning, tenant management. Sweet. So you can search. You can select all. That's pretty cool. That worked first time almost. The only problem is I'm going to have to log in and out every time, every time I want to do it. Let's do class equals with full. It's going to log me out again. No, nope, it did. Why is that doing that? Sign in. Oh, come on. Why? Why didn't you change? I don't want to have to log in every time. This is gonna break me. Hi, Kenny, how you doing? Productive? No, productive, definitely not. trying to get the styling in place. Why doesn't that fill out? So, what I noticed on, yeah, there you go, panel style class, import style class. You see how this has different style classes? With full. Oh, you can do it that way. More productive than me. Is your app logging you out every time? An empty class in 4 hours of work. There we go. So there's these controls allow you to set the styling on different components within the control. So you can say the input that what I said there is the style class of this is full, but then when I expand it, this looks like it collapses, but I can actually change the styling of this separately. Meetings into dog time. Nice. That's 12 bytes in a 32-bit computer. More than enough. It's a motivation loss. Motivation. Nope. I'll recognize this thing. This motivation of which you speak. So it doesn't log me out now, but it does log me out when it refreshes. That's the challenge. I haven't changed any of that code. That's really frustrating. So we'll go back to the front panel. Grid gap 6. Okay, so that's grid gap 6. So we go back to there. Div. And then class flex call. Wow, that's interesting. I've got 2 different ways of doing it. 2 very different ways of doing it as well. One's very... I did some reading on Java and still don't get what bean is, to be honest. Canny is a polyglot in multiple ways. Do I mean polyglot? Polyglot. Oh. Yeah, several languages. So not just verbal, but if you want to watch fascinating developments, so Canny, you develop in Java day to day, right? You do C# and GD script on stream, plus anything else, and you also speak multiple languages. In university, we did Java 8, nothing further I know of. I haven't ever done Java. I've gone to pick it up several times, not found any use for it, and put it back down again. So someone asked about .NET yesterday, like in one line stream, and I just said my love of .NET comes from the fact that I can pretty much any solution I want, I can come up with an answer in the .NET framework, whether it be websites, whether it be services, whether it be communications in some form or whatever, visual tools, desktop tools, etc. I can do that. Also, I hear if your company email is on Java 8, just quit and get a new job. Well, I wouldn't go just quitting jobs, because if you're working in Java, you should be good. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, it's, I don't know. I think as much stick as Microsoft gets, we we do get a lot out of them, and the .NET framework is definitely and that's why it was all padded. .NET framework is definitely a productivity what's the word? Supercharger. Wrong with Beans is not defined, and it's very weak defined. In Spring Boot, it's kind of singleton that is managed by the framework. In other sources, it's more like just a data object. In enterprise language, it's an object that is managed by the application server. Disclaimer for the last one, I only remember it roughly. Have no proof. That's just developers being developers, right? Leaning into the whole coffee thing with Java. Creating beans. Okay, so now that was the wrong thing to do because that layout got completely messed up. What I wanted to do is the gap. Can I still do the gap? Yes, I can. That looks really gappy now, though, right? It still moves the content, so that content still pushes down. So I'm going to learn with CSS how do I do that. Also, this spacing is off as well. But right now I'm looking for consistency of everything else. So right, so that content shouldn't move. Right. The page shouldn't move around. That's a jarring feature that people will not enjoy. Java is a nice language. I miss some of the features in C# and vice versa. Yeah, it's interesting to see the paths they've taken to get to, that productivity. So I'm not disliking this so far. I'm feeling it's very flat though. And kind of meh. Maybe with some more content it'll look better. But right now I'm not blown away with the styling changes. Is it just beans definition? Because I remember entity bean or other beans as well. Time for lorem ipsum. If I could get the login to stay logged in, it would help because I'd have planning items there as well, which would bloat the content. But it's like, I don't know, it feels flat for certain. Like the form, I like the style. I don't mind having this color here. I'm going to have to pick some color schemes though at some point. Yeah, that's going to be challenging. Settings, planning items there, initiatives, new item. That gap looks kind of silly now. But again, I want to do... I like the color palette choice for dark mode. It's working so far overall, but I think just making sure those colors are consistent because again, I do want to change the colors slightly. Maybe it's just in, I changed the top panel or something. That's going to look weird now because this isn't a style, a class. I need to set a class. These take on the right styling of the light mode. Yeah. The dark mode form definitely looks better there, but yeah. By the way, thanks for the shout. My brain works slow today. Yours and mine. Yours and mine. So close. I'm kind of thinking about what I want to focus on. Because essentially that form's done. I just can't test it because I keep getting logged out, which is not the bug I wanted to be chasing today. This is completely optional. Assigned to is completely optional. Oh, speaking of dark mode, I've set all of the RMA apps to default to dark mode, but I have a light mode toggle. Found it yesterday. There is one user that prefers light mode. If you've watched the build conference, so that's worth bringing up at this point. Build, a lot of their demos are like pure light mode, right? They don't generally demo in dark mode. It's a developer preference, but if Microsoft are doing demos, they're doing this. But if you're going to watch one build video, I'd recommend this one. I mean, it's filled with dad jokes normally. Or rather, not so much dad jokes, but they are both definitely. They like making puns and awkward jokes with each other. All PMs there are dinosaurs. But, you know. Whoa. I would probably use light mode more, but because of the stream, I don't do. I try not to. But this is one I definitely recommend checking out. There's some interesting stuff coming in C# 13 if they get it there. But that's always the problem with Microsoft. It's May. They're announcing these things, and then they could get to August and say, no, we're not going to make it. That feature isn't making it until C# 14. So you never know what's actually set in stone. But extension types are definitely something to keep an eye on because it changes classes in a way that I'm not sure I'm wholly on board with. Light attracts bugs, also choose dark mode. Presentations use the light mode to make it easy to see in person. The contrast definitely works better. Well, they use a lot of light mode. But I think the fonts that we now use make it a lot easier in dark mode as well. So, oh, that might be why. I think the GraphQL endpoint stopped. Let's put that to the test. Build is running another build. Good morning, Mr. Anhorn, by the way. I apologize. Put some glasses, sees in dark mode. I know a lot of the defaults for apps of this nature are definitely light mode. So whether that's okay, so let's log out. Let's try signing in. Now, is this an issue caused by me, or is this an issue caused by GraphQL? I don't know. We have items, we have planning, we have tenant management. We can assign to Jeffrey, we can select a date. That date picker looks odd. Looks small. Some measly light blue photon particle going to hurt you or something. So we're progressing, right? Let's get this title bar sorted out at least today. So the title bar is in the actual component, right? It's not a element of the page. So here, I'm going to take that away, take that away. Nope, hit error again. Why is it doing that? And is it ending this? No, that's still running. There we go. I don't dislike that being solid. I think it kind of works. Should it be bigger? That seems a little excessive. Yeah, we'll go with that for right a second. Okay, so let's get the content. If you put ng content there in your component, whatever you put inside the component on the page, right? So again, anything in the component there gets rendered in where ng content is. In other controls, I do have templates for the different areas, so I can swap things out or control things differently as well. So I can change the style of items or whatever. So add planning component, app slide over. I really need to turn on the there you go. The number of times I've gone back and forth on that control today is ridiculous, and I keep using control navigation to get there because I keep forgetting where it is and not wanting to scroll down. So that part. Oh, that can't. Hover. So button. I don't think we need to make it a button though. Add. Why does that have? I class equals pi. Let's have a look at icons. Prime ng icons. So if you're new to the stream and you're okay, I think we've exhausted using this tool now. If you have questions about what I'm doing, if you want to learn more about the technologies I'm using, you're more than welcome to ask. I'm happy to show the software. The code is not open source, but it doesn't mean I won't show it. Cancel. Pi times. That's interesting that they've labeled it that way. Let's have a look. Why is that bordered with a box? You'd think I'd be used to this part now, wouldn't you? Inspect. Oh, it's because it's a button. It probably should be a button for the accessibility, but how do I remove the button styling? There was a thing on that, wasn't there? Text buttons are displayed as... Oh, so if I make it a P button... It's a big button. Text. Yeah, that's fine. There you go. At what point is using just pure CSS more accessible than using a CSS framework like Tailwind? Imagine most browsers support all recent standards. I'm not sure, to be honest. The composability of Tailwind, like the readability, is a little. I'm not wholly sure of. If I was doing without Tailwind, I'd basically be creating classes for these things, right? Whereas I can join these things together with Tailwind. I can still create classes, by the way. I can still go off and create a class that imports all these things for Tailwind. So if I have a consistency thing, I can go in my style CSS and create a combined behavior. I typically struggle to customize things using a CSS framework. However, I think I could get past the control I want to have. I would love having a set of standard layouts and styles to just use. And what I can do is I can say, okay, well, this is the header bar or whatever. And I can go to the style CSS and I can say, dot header bar. And then do I import these? There's a way of doing this, and I've just blanked on it right now. But I can say it's not import. But I can say use these styles, and that becomes a class that I can then apply. So I can kind of join the two together. But I like that Tailwind's very descriptive. And again, using Tailwind, if I go into someone else's code base and they're using Tailwind, that text gray 900 is the same text gray 900 that I use, right? So there's a consistency there. If I create my own CSS styles for all these sorts of things, and I get it, I could, with many years, because I'm not adept at this, I could create something that looks like this and get all the styles, but my styles are now going to look inconsistent. So using a framework does allow you to transfer between different projects much more easily than going in and dealing with someone's custom CSS. So I'd say that's probably the bigger benefit overall, is a consistent naming of everything. Many moons ago, they were I use frameworks to reset the style because different browsers have different interpretations of the standard, but now I just can't see the advantage, rather prefer a reduced stack of frameworks. There's definitely an argument to be had on reducing the frameworks. The weight we add in our software these days, because we introduce so many different technologies. Even this in its simple form is pretty heavy, right? I'm using PrimeNG, I'm using Angular, I'm using Tailwind in here as well. So PrimeNG has its styling around its buttons. I could have dropped Tailwind entirely and used their simplified CSS framework to align. And they are changing some things around their Tailwind usage, but right now, I think, reflecting back on what I said before, I think pretty much the big argument would be consistency in working with other with other designs and stuff. You could use the same set of attributes and get the same output. Another thing to consider with that is your usage of the word accessible. I think in your context that means ease of use or not difficult to learn and adapt. However, a lot of frameworks also have accessibility considerations built in. as in contrast, sizing, etc. Yeah, these colors. So this is one of the things that was confusing me. So I use a tool called VisBug, right? That Exocamil recommended. Hey, Scooby Snacks, how you doing? And if I bring up the info panel, I can hover over and see things about the colors. But I can use this one for the accessibility and hover over, and it'll tell me how compliant that color is from an accessibility standpoint. And the colors that they give you out of the box, see, that one isn't, and that's a PrimeNG color. So I could change that. It's not completely inaccessible, but it's not stunning. So it gives you these scores to use as an accessibility guideline. Wave browser. Okay, cool. But I can also, with this tool, I can measure, I can see alignment and stuff. So I've just got to get better at using the tools here. So yeah, that's VisBug. Okay, so I think this is looking okay right now. My major concern is that there's vertical movement on the attribute, and also that it's stuck right up underneath type. But that can come back around and change afterwards. There's no way this is a final pass, right? But I think the form is looking much better. It's looking much cleaner. A dev colleague of mine is blind. Wow. I've never had the fortune to work with someone. I fortune. I think that having people that understand the challenges and can describe the challenges is a very useful, making it sound selfish there. I don't mean it selfishly, but what I mean is, it's an opportunity that you should take ownership, like take control of, because it's like someone can give you insights into their world that you don't get to appreciate. And I think that's working with people who have color blindness. You can see all the things you take for granted and appreciate the challenges it poses and put that more effort in because you want that to be accessible to them and to be usable. I think it's a great opportunity to learn. It's like when you work with people from different cultures, right? Their opinions on things or how they understand, like if I'm using English everywhere, how they understand the word can change the understanding of the application, and appreciating that and being able to communicate that is a fortunate thing to have in your development. Because if you develop in a bubble, which again I am here, right? I'm developing in a bubble, kind of. I might not appreciate the challenges you as a viewer has using my software. And I think it's taking that chance to learn and grow is definitely useful. I can't even imagine how he visualizes a file like that. Right, making naming even harder. Yeah. In my current company, all designs related to topography, color variables, etc. is defined globally. Then we have scope CSS for components. In the beginning, Tailwind Bootstrap looks pretty solid, but the more you go into overflows, responsive design, whatever, you would have to put like 20 classes naming each container element. It depends on the context, non-container elements as well. Right, so then you kind of defeat the point, right, of using Tailwind, because like I just showed, I can take these, and I can't remember the term, the right syntax right now. I can take these and create a class in my styles. But now I've kind of defeated the point in using Tailwind, because now I've moved them away from the front end. But I mean, the problem is replacing Tailwind once you've gone beyond PLC or MVP is another challenge as well. So building your own CSS around this stuff, I think if you have in-house talent that is very, very good at the UI side of things, you don't need to use Tailwind or something like that, right? Even the author of Tailwind says glory to copy and paste. Does your colleague use text to speech and everything PC, and how good is it for browsing? I imagine accessibility are still far afterthought on the net. And that's, again, I don't mean it as a selfish thing, but having the opportunity to work with people who are who have different abilities to you is something you should definitely capitalize on. Embrace is really what I mean. Like, take the opportunity to learn and grow as a human being. He scrubs code using text speech and reads it more in depth than the Braille reader. Wow. That's that's a world you can't imagine, right? Okay. So we made some progress. We got this laid out. So now I've got the template to use. So the other thing is, so sign in. We go and copy and paste the password I can never remember. I have no idea why I can't remember that password. This is what it should look like right now. Obviously, this is the next thing to lay this out. But again, I want to do this in so much as I want to take these as groupings and move them to past due, this upcoming, this month, etc. So upcoming would be within the next couple of days or this week, right? And then there'd be like collapsible areas, and then they'd have grids for these things because they don't need to be in these big cards, which will make this more readable overall, hopefully. And when you go into these, so the next panel will be this one, although it's taken on a lot of styling because obviously I have the base class. These controls just need to change, these buttons, etc. Something else to keep in mind, since I just encountered this, is to remember to test your app in different browsers on occasion. My color mode toggle uses my entire page to shift down a little. Causes my entire page to shift down a little without scroll bars in Firefox, only with no weirdness in any other browser. Yeah, we're not quite beyond the days of slight browser differences, right? Has to use PC because macOS screen readers, apparently. Apple probably have their own opinions on how that should work. So, I think overall, considering this is me and CSS and layout, a productive day so far on this app. I'm kind of getting back to where I was, but again, with the aim of then lining out the going through these workflows in more depth and being able to add more details in. I also don't like color shades like cyan 100, cyan 200, cyan 900. Then the question becomes, the Tailwind is also a design system, or is it a design system? And you push the responsibility to the individual developer. The developer at the time, let's say, use cyan 400 instead of 500. Then you say, why? Other people use different numbers, and you have it inconsistently with calls in your program. So, again, I'd recommend watching OneLine's work with Figma. I think that in an ideal world, your design system is built and prepared by a group that gives you all the colors to use, right? So again, in that world, in the way that OneLine is doing it, right, all those colors are dealt with because all the controls, all the layouts, all the panels, everything, all the color schemes are chosen ahead of time and can be validated and prepared before development happens. If developers are choosing different shades of different colors, then that's not the fault of the design. That's the fault of the developer picking something that they shouldn't have done. OS user preferences regarding coding, although I have definitely more tools as a dev on Linux. Yeah, Linux dev is something I've toyed with the idea of now, because .NET is at the point where I technically should be able to do most of what I do here on stream on a Linux box. Right? There's no reason why I need Windows, because I Dockerize all the things. I Dockerize SQL, I Dockerize Kafka and all those other things. So there's no reason. I use color shades for the core definitions, but the theme uses a specific color shade for each thing. Then everyone uses the theme colors. What TBD are you saying? Okay, sorry. I wish that was the real world. We don't have resources to hire a team or even a person for design up front. Yes. Yeah, I'm being idealistic. I realize that, and it's often overlooked, and the importance is overlooked by organizations. If you're building your own software, getting into that "let's just get it done" mentality is the most dangerous thing you can do, and that's kind of why I've now. I think this is like the third time I've come back to doing the UI stuff. Because it is important that I get it right. I know what it is, and I've got to be more consistent. So there's things here that I now know I need to change the colors, etc. Because if I do want to support light mode, which I do, they're going to have to change. So it is worth investing that time. It's just a challenge, and again, organizations don't often give you that time to do that. But then they're complaining, why does this look different to this? Why does that look different to that? Well, if we had a consistent design, this is definitely a typical situation. This is how it is on the team I was on. So I took some time here and there to create these color and theme definitions, even though I was busy most of the time working on bug fixes and feature implementations. Yeah, I think I've become jaded in that respect. Like, I'm not the grumpy old developer that I grew up with, right? The typical senior that's like, I've been doing this for 500 years. I know better than you, right? I don't believe that. So from a development perspective, I'm definitely, let's open up and embrace new ideas, new practices. I can learn from you just as much as you can learn from me. Our different approaches will help. Experience gives me some of that, but it's not something I try to hold over anybody. So I would rather work with a person fresh out of college that's really passionate to do stuff and wants to learn and has their ideas than I would someone who's been doing it for 30 years and doesn't care about what we're doing. However, when it comes to being paid for my job, if I'm having to go on above and beyond because the company doesn't want to accept the need to do certain things, I won't do that anymore. I will not put in extra effort to help a company out of their own hole. And I'll be honest about why, right? So you made a massive contribution to something that should have been taken more seriously in the first place to help them move forward faster. And it's slightly self-serving in that it helps you as a developer do your job easier. But you shouldn't have to worry about that. So I have a tendency of, nope, no extra effort. And it's not, I don't care. It's that I don't feel that I should burn myself out trying to help someone who does not want to help themselves. So I reserve my grumpiness for silly company decisions. If you have the money, there's no shame to outsource areas you're not an expert in, e.g. for designs using a service like 99designs.com. And I want to be in a position where I can outsource this, right? I want to be able to say, hey, can I pay a designer to build this? But I do not have that sort of money. I would love to take an actual professionally developed thing on stream and develop out the actual UI from a design. I think that would be a very great experience to share with everyone. So, maybe I can find someone who will work for a relatively small amount of money, but will still expect being paid, and will be able to do a design. I would offer automated realms as an option, but I'm not confident in my design ability yet. Well, we've got a while. When you get confident, let's do it. I'll be a guinea pig. Okay. We need more people to do app development in the mornings. If you decide to stream anybody that wants to do app dev, and you want to start like now, that would be a good idea. Practical NPC streaming, looking for an artist. Oh, Godot official went on. Yes. I am not raiding into Godot official though. That would be oh no, they went offline as well. Looks like they're having some issues. A new title. So, okay. What's on the cards? What's on the cards? So tomorrow, what I'll focus on is this screen. Actually, I'll start with fixing that annoying bug. I'll read an app designer stream. Do you know of any? Because I don't have any in my follows. So if you have any suggestions, otherwise we're either going to Fullbots, Beegs, or maybe Full Stack. Full Stack's the one that's closest to doing anything dev related, but that's all admin stuff. I think that's co-working anyway. Right this second. So tomorrow, yeah, we'll be working on the grouping of this, the bug fix for the logout. I'm not sure why that's now taken to logging me out of the application when it reloads. That's going to be a frustrating one. We'll get the grouping on here. We'll get the grids in here for this data and allow the navigation. I'm wondering what category app design will be streamed in. I don't know. It's pretty hard to find people because, again, Twitch is so games focused. They could be in just chatting as much as they could be in dev. Like, I'd be interested in finding any other C# developers or app developers in general, but I don't find that many people. And I kind of rely upon the community to kind of maybe creativity. I kind of rely upon the community to kind of tell me any new streamers that are out there. Ryun, why did I not follow Ryun? That's not good. I need to get better at shoutouts as well when people raid. I'm very terrible at that. Problem is, raiding a stream I've never been in and have no recommendation for is challenging because obviously I don't know what I'm joining you into as a viewer. So it could be just, raid in and then everyone just leaves instantly because they don't like what they're seeing. So it's very risky jumping into a stream I don't know. So what we'll do is we'll raid over to, who did I raid yesterday? Fullbots? Bees is a lot of people. Oh, I know who's just gone live. I know who we're raiding because I'm going to go over there anyway. Okay, let's go see Sorcery. The majority of dev streams I've seen are in software and game dev. I haven't found any outside of that, at least that I enjoy watching. Yeah, I wish more people would do app dev. There's a lot of game devs, and not that I'm about to take us to a game dev, right? But there was some days in Twitch where there was a lot of people doing app development, and I kind of find that more fascinating. I actually don't like the co-working aspect as much as I like the I like learning and growing with people and kind of when I've got the focus to kind of watching what they're doing and see if I can, help and stuff. So I kind of like that aspect of it. And the chat, I like the chat. Layla Curl did change over to game dev. Simple game dev has a fantastic game, but he's doing a lot of administrative type stuff currently. How about app dev for game dev? And most app dev streams are focused on the back end. True Trap. Morning, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, the balance is the back end, front end. The back end gets harder. I realize that. But I'm trying to make sure I'm building out the components to match it. And hopefully bringing people along for the ride. But anyway, let's go see Sorcery. Because I'm going to go over there anyway. Yeah. Godot devs are also good to watch. Sorcery's building an RPG base builder. If you haven't been in there, most of you I know have. Thank you for coming, hanging out. Thank you for the contribution and the conversation today. As always, has been excellent. I appreciate you all. And I will be back tomorrow. We'll do a little bit more of this, hopefully fix that bug, and try and move on with this application finally. So take care all. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again soon.